everybody, and welcome to another community conversation. I'm so excited tonight to talk about student success and goal setting with Feli Garcia Lopez and some awesome educators. Hi, Feli, how are you?
Super excited and bien feliz. It's an honor to be here with you and with the amazing educators that we have for today. I can't wait.
I'm so excited for this conversation, and I think it's quite timely as folks are either coming back from a holiday break or possibly starting a new semester at school. But we often think of the beginning of a calendar year as a time to set goals, set some hopeful expectations we want to work towards. So tonight's conversation is all about student success and goal setting. And I want to introduce our first guest. Are you ready to get started?
Ready.
All right. Friends, please welcome the one and only Melisa Hayes. Well, I know I just said your name, but tell us who you are, where you're from, and all the things.
I'm Melisa Hayes, and I live in Hilliard, Ohio, and I teach second grade, and I'm super excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you, Melisa. Thank you. All right, we have another one. Friends, get ready to say hello to the one and only Dr. Randall Sampson.
Hey guys, nice to see everybody.
Oh my gosh, how are you?
I would not lie. I'm excited. I'm pumped. It's a new year, new stuff, awesomeness. It's going to be amazing. A little bumpy at the beginning. But now we're like, okay, let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Are you ready to go? Are you both ready to talk? Student success and goal setting, right? I mean, we can just jump right in.
Absolutely.
All right. Feli, do you want to queue up this first question and kick us off?
Thank you, and thank you so much for being here with us, right? Because we're gonna be talking about goal setting, but we're also gonna be talking about celebrating our students, which is the most important thing, right? Celebrating what they do and the love for our profession and the love for our kids. So with that in mind, we're going to start with our first question. We have it on the screen, and it's why is setting goals a critical step in helping set students up for success?
Who's going to take it? Who's going to kick us up?
Sure. I'll jump in. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Awesome. So for me, the goal setting, we often use this process of goal setting. Then I tell people all the time, it's about honoring the process. So the goals are a great way for kids to develop processes that they go through. There's struggles, there's triumphs, there's places where you kick the rocks a little bit, you bump your toe, but you fight through it because it's the process and you have something in mind, a place you want to go, a journey you want to travel to, and you decide along the way where you want to go, how you want to travel it, and it's the process. And so the goal becomes part of that process.
I love that. It's like the journey of learning. I often say like a learning adventure, right? But it's all of the detours. It's all of, the shifts and the pivots that we make along the way that seeing the end point or knowing the ultimate goal definitely helps as you're on that journey, right?
Absolutely. Because when the kids love that process, and now the success becomes their success, regardless of what it looks like. We as adults have standards and metrics and rubrics that kind of talk to the success, but the kids love the process and they fall in love with the process and they fall in love with their goals. And now it becomes theirs regardless of what it looks like in that journey. It's about that outcome for them.
So does that hint at a shift in ownership and a shift in motivation and a shift in engagement possibly, right? As they own it. And that's what we want them to do. I love those thoughts, Randall. Yeah. Melisa, how about you? Like, what are some of those critical steps or how do you help students get set up for success?
Well, I'm just shaking my head. Yes, Randall, preach. But I would say on the journey, they gain so many important life lessons that they would never gain from a textbook or academics. They gain the self-confidence, they gain the self-esteem, like you said, ownership. All those factors come into play, planning, organization. So I would say that it doesn't matter the age, because I teach littles, or the ability, that everyone can set their goals high and achieve them.
I love that. I think that sort of leads us into already, I'm just going to jump to it because you just said about setting those goals and how do they achieve them. So best practices to do this. And the question asked, what are some best practices for setting and achieving realistic goals, sustainable goals, or achieving, I got this quote right from this book, exponential results, right? Randall, you're wearing that championship belt over. I got my champion shirt on. Champions love the process. But how do we do that? What are the tangible things or best practices educators can bring into their learning community to get there or help students get there?
You want me to, are you doing this one? Or do you want me to?
Anybody, yeah.
Okay. For me, the very first thing would be the kids choose. The kids have that choice. They should be driving the bus, not you. Discussing the purpose is critical. And then making sure you flip the goal so it's a positive. A lot of kids' mindset is negative, depending on what they hear. Celebrate those little steps, because no matter how small, it's a success and it should be celebrated and rejoiced and danced and sang. And the last thing I think is the most important, and for me, because I'm horrible at it, but it's revisiting and reflecting, because you set the goal and then you forget it and the kids forget it and they're like, oh my goodness. So it's so important to revisit it and reflect it often and change the goal if need be or tweak.
How do you do that, Melisa? Like when you revisit something with your students, what does that look like in your learning environment?
Well, it's obviously celebration. Is
that what that disco ball is on the back there behind you?
Right?
Yeah.
It's taking the time to take a look at their goal, and then them having the time to share how they achieved a goal. It's not a test. It's not, I mean, especially for littles, it's all about the experience. So it's sharing those stories and celebrating them, and then them having the control of, you know, I think I've achieved this goal. I really want to move into a different goal or tweak this a little. And I'm all for it. And like Randall said, it's all about the ownership, and they take pride in their goal and their work.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I found is, you know, as long as we can keep it as simple as possible, and like we're talking about incremental successes, you have to have incremental goals as well. I know everybody wants to have the big goal of, by summertime, I'm going to have a 6-pack and have my 20-year-old legs back, or whatever the goal is, right? And then summertime comes, you're like, you know what? There's always another summer. So we have to make these small incremental goals that we go along. So in the book, Welcome to the Grind, How Teachers Achieve Exponential Results, what I found that really harnesses everybody together and get everybody on the same page, because it's not the kids, it's us, the adults. We're trying to get us on the same page so that way the kids can flourish. So we create a PDSA cycle, plan, do, study, act. So we all sit around and we say, okay, what is the plan? What's the issue that we're having that we want to see success with our kids with? And then, you know, once we have the plan, what are we going to actually do? And once we're doing it, are we going to actually take a look and study and reflect on it? And then once we study and reflect on it, we have to figure out who are the main culprits in this action. Who is responsible for what? So people are assigned to different things. And it's not that I'm assigning somebody to something that they can't even accomplish. You choose based on the plan, what do you want to be assigned to? So now you can own it and be responsible for it at the end of the day. And then we revisit it quarterly, weekly, bi-weekly, every semester. We have a plan that's set up when we revisit it. And to keep things fresh and going, we also do this thing called Flipgrid Friday. So the reflection becomes your Flipgrid Friday. At the end of the week, every Friday, our staff puts into their group or into their topic, this is what we did this week. Here are some exciting things that we're going to celebrate. Here are some awesome things about me personally. So we have different prompts that we put out there. And we just use that as incremental successes and incremental stories. So I think at the end of this quarter, we have up to 18 weeks of videos already for every Friday that we've done.
Wow.
And it is amazing. And people get to go back and look at it and they're like, wow, I had that hairdo back in fall.
You just said like 18 weeks of video, but as you document growth over time, or I mean, and these are going to be some examples I have queued up to share that I know you both do in your community, but that and helping students see that. I know Felly and I recently had this conversation because this, of course, is setting us up for the next question. Felly, why don't you take this one? And I know you have an example of what you've done in your own community in Texas. So Felly, intro the question, and then when we're ready, I'm going to pop up a really cool example from your learning community.
And I want to, if I may, and if I want to go back to what Melisa said about changing that mentality, right? Because I used to, I'm a former ESL, ELA reading teacher. So 8th grade, middle school, right? So by the time I got my students in 8th grade, they already came to me with the mentality of, I'm never going to learn the language. I've been here in the US for several years and I can still not produce, right, in English, or what I'm not able to read what I'm supposed to read in order for me to move on to high school. So at the beginning of the year, my job was to change that mentality, right? To become that coach and tell them, yes, you can do it. I'm going to help you. We're going to be in this together. Believe me in this. And it was so funny because most of the time I was looking at kids like this because I'm super short, right? And it's 8th graders, right? So like, yes, you can. By the end of the year, you see, you're going to read and I'm here and blah, right? So it takes you time to change the mentality, establish those relationships with your kids so the learning can happen and this goal setting can happen. Because I think that's key. That's change the mentality first. Show them, celebrate every success, no matter how small it is. It is super important. And it gives them a sense of accomplishment. And success is very important for our babies, for our students. It's like one drop of water creating a humongous wave. So with that, I'm going to jump into the question. Do you write goals with your students? Do they revisit them? What are some ways students can self-monitor, track, and celebrate growth over time?
I love that this is so nuanced. It's like 3 questions in one, but everybody does this differently, right? And so even starting with, do your students write them? How do they revisit them? What does it look like? The self-monitoring piece.
Yeah, we have I'm here in the Columbus, Ohio area. So I work with Columbus City Schools as a coach for their leaders and their teachers and going through the data. So one of the things that we have is we have these benchmarks that come quarterly, benchmark assessments, formative benchmark assessments. So we printed out big charts and then kids will have their student numbers on it because they all use their student numbers for their lunch. So everybody knows you're not going to forget that student number. If that's tied to your lunch, kids aren't going to forget it. So they use their student number, put it on there, then they put their benchmark score from their NWA score, they put their benchmark score and whatever their growth goal is. And every single day when they come in, they have an assignment, and then the kids reaffirm to themselves, this will go towards my growth goal if I complete this. And at the end of the quarter, they have another assessment to see if they made their growth goal. And it's all a big chart on the wall. It's very visible just for them and for their teachers to see, and other teachers as well. So that is awesome. And the growth has been tremendous. So the couple of schools that have done it, now you guys are gonna think I'm lying, but I'm telling the honest to goodness truth. They went from 2 or 8% achievement gap score, which isn't very good, to a 84% on the state assessment grade, on the state report card grade. So just that little nuance tweak really enhanced and closed that achievement gap tremendously by just having those little bitty goals that's very public for them.
That's phenomenal. That's incredible. And to see that, to track it, and to celebrate that growth is that constant, whether it's a visual reminder, but that intrinsic motivation to keep going, right? To keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't want to dominate too much, but I just want to get to the back end of the celebration time. That's what I love. So the big celebration is pizza. So, you know, we all have pizza parties. It's great. But when you come from a urban environment where Friday pizza is not a norm, and every kid that met their growth for that week receives a full, not a slice of pizza, a full box pizza that they get to take home. And the key behind that is the kid shows up at home with a pizza on a Friday, and the family's like, "Where'd you get a pizza?" And so the kid tells them how they earned the pizza, and now everybody's eating on Friday. And the expectation becomes, you better come home next week with another pizza. So the kid is like, oh, I got to keep growing because everybody at home wants more pizza with me. So that is awesome. So that's kind of how we celebrate it. And I think even with the pandemic now that we're in, makes it even more difficult. And so we've switched it to where every kid that either shows up, demonstrates growth, or whatever the teachers choose, and kids go online and they have choice now, and they get champion gear shipped directly to them. Teachers don't even have to touch anything. We don't have to worry about, you know, the COVID stuff. It's a direct shipment, and the kids have choice as to what they want. And so Ann has on the sweatshirt, I have on the shirt and the hat, and you will never believe what one kid got, middle school kid.
What?
A onesie.
Oh, for like a sibling? Or
A onesie. So I said, so we were all like shocked. We're like, hey, why did you get a onesie? And the kid said, I'm going to win some more champion gear, but my baby brother at home, I want him to start off to be a champion from a young age. I was done. Tears were flowing. I was like, oh my goodness, goosebumps, everything, right? So now you can just see how this motivation has really taken root with the kids too. So it really has a far-reaching effect. So I was shocked because I've never had somebody order a onesie.
That's incredible. I love that. I love hearing that. And just the ripple of it and laying new foundations for family and for community and what that looks like in your personal experience. I love how that bridges between, you know, school to home or whatever that looks like, because it's so interwoven. I love that. That's incredible. Melisa, you have to talk about that disco ball too as part of your process, because you celebrate the journey. So what are some of your thoughts about this question?
Well, as a teacher of littles, I model all the time. So I obviously write goals. I model with my kids, and we sit down and we talk about what are our strengths and what are our areas of growth. I don't call them weakness. And then we decide on those areas of growth what we want to work on. We do 3 goals. One's a personal goal, so they might want to be able to make a basket in on their basketball team by the end of the season. One is an academic goal, obviously. And then the last one is an SEL goal. So it's a goal that they want to achieve throughout the year. And I tell them, you know, we're going to revisit, we're going to tweak, we're going to, if you feel like you've accomplished your goal, we'll create another goal. Obviously, the academic is more measurable. The other 2 are measurable, observant, and then they give me stories. So from there, we create our goals, and then we talk about them, and then we celebrate with like a dance party and things of that sort. So it's hard, fully remote, but we make it work.
Well, teachers always make it work. And I love that you talk about modeling, right? As the educator, we are the lifelong learner, right? Modeling that. And Feli, I know you've shared before in your own journey, but also the champion spirit you have for your learning community. So just the way this is set up, I'm going to pop this graphic up on the screen so folks can see it for a moment. It's going to cover us up, everybody. We know, but Feli, tell us about how you do this and what goal setting looks like with your students and how you get them to revisit this over time. So this, for example, right?
Definitely agree with our conversations with our students should start with the strengths of them, talking about their strengths, right? So as I mentioned, I'm an ESL teacher, so my students, I'm from Texas, so my students need to take the TELPAS test on top of other state assessment exams. Before they go to high school, they need to take the TELPAS test, right? So this is something that I shared with them at the beginning of the year. So the top is already done for them. And we talk about data, but we don't, I tell my kids, it's not about data, it's about being informed. We need to take our decisions. We need to set up a plan of action to be informed, and we're gonna be together in this. You and I are gonna be the best team ever, and I'm gonna be with you every step of the way. And kids love that. Kids love to see numbers and see, okay, what is it that I need to do, Miss Feli? What is it that I need to do here in the reading section, in the listening section, in the speaking section, in the writing section? And I'm like, look, mi corazón, if you do this, this is where you're gonna go. And it becomes a family process, right? Because your classroom, your students become and are your family. So it's a win-win situation for the student and for me as well. So once they have, and we talk about all of these numbers, right, and all of this info from TELPAS, we decide my kids plan, or they script a plan of action. What is the plan of attack, right? How are we going to attack this test? Because I want to get rid of it. I'm going to go to high school, and I don't want to worry about this test anymore. That's our goal. So on this document, they start creating a script of what is the first step that they are going to accomplish in order for them to attack, right, or to pass the TELPAS test. And then they record themselves on Flipgrid. And something that I love to do, and my kids love it too, is that before they submit the video, that selfie stage of the process, I tell them, once you're in the selfie, you call me because I'm going to be on the selfie with you. And they're like, whoa, why? Because we're together in this. So that selfie is going to show you that I'm going to be with you every step of the process. And yes, I've been jumping 30 all over the place, right? 30 students every class, and I'm, Miss Feli, I'm ready. Yes, I'm on my way. Miss Feli, I'm ready. Okay, I'm on my way. But I know it's just to see their faces and the love on the faces and how successful it is. I don't care if I have to be jumping all over the place. It's all worth it. It's all worth it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And that is a celebration of the process. I know in my own community, I did victory laps, and I still do this. I taught first grade for a long, long time, and we always talked about the journey, the learning adventure, and we celebrated those small victories. I mean, things like color in a bar graph or put, a sticker chart, always a positive expectation. Melisa, like you, I didn't call them have that inverse way. I said, what do you want to work towards, right? What do you want to work towards? But I have so many memories of like a student achieving something they set before themselves. And I'd say, oh, did it just happen? Did it just happen? Victory lap! And I would run around the perimeter of my classroom, and everybody just would put their hand up. And it was this like high five circle around the room. So dancing, celebration, a fun selfie together on Flipgrid, disco lights, a championship belt, champion culture, all of these things. It's celebrating that process, right? I love this so much.
And our students love it too, because they remind you, Ms. Feli, we need to go back to analyzing our numbers. How are we doing in data? And since you don't have, we as teachers, we have so many things to worry about, right? But when students are part of the process, they are the ones reminding you some of the things that you might have forgotten, because they love the process. They know they're part of it, and it's the ownership. It's not only the teacher, it's the family process within it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. Okay, friends, I told you before we went live, I have a few tweets that I want to share. We're going to go back in time a little bit and celebrate the journey. Let's see. First, I am going to take this, I believe, if I have the right one. Oh, I chose the wrong one, but that's okay. We'll do this in reverse order. Melisa, you are known for always, always, always including students in this process. So this is, right, that student-led conference. Couldn't be more proud. The smiles. You do student-led conferences, right? Yeah. So this, I guess, alludes to how you're using Flipgrid to celebrate that part of the journey. There is another one. I am, of course, doing this backwards, but that's okay. Another one you had, check this out. Kids are finishing up adding their QR codes. You talked about this academic behavior personal. I love that you bring up the social emotional learning goal as part of the process. I think that's incredible, right? Are these popping up on screen? I don't think they, oh, perfect. Then I'm doing it right. Okay, I have one more. Are you ready for this? If I choose the right one, my friend. Oh, wrong one. Here we go. I think, did I share this one to start? I'm doing this wrong, right? That's the one I just shared. Anyways, Melisa, one of those tweets, if you notice in the details, it was 2017, 2018, and 2019. This is what you do. This is the way you have celebrated this journey. And it looks different every year, whether you're face-to-face. I know you're fully remote right now, but I'm so curious. Those examples showed how you leveraged Flipgrid to guide student-led conferences, Flipgrid AR to show their celebration or their journey, their reflection in augmented reality. So could you speak to like just the way you do this and having students like celebrate that process?
Well, the shirts were face to face, so that way when parents came in, I think it was for Meet the Teacher. When they came to meet the teacher, they could scan the child's shirt and it would show them their goals. Now, I changed that. Of course, teachers are always learning and growing and thriving from behavior, because that is yucky, and I get all twitchy because I use that term. And I love SEL much, much more. So that's what we switched to. But the parents love it, and actually is a good lesson for them because they had no idea that the camera could do that to a QR code, and then it would pop up, and it was just like Christmas, and the kids were showing them all about Flipgrid anyway. So it was a great way to incorporate the parents into the conversation and have them monitor this at home as well. And then the student-led conferences we still do, even though we're remote all the time, the whole year, no matter what the health department says. We have conferences coming up next month, and I'm doing student-led again. And I would say kindergarten could do student-led. I know teachers get a little panicked because, oh, well, the kids are too young and I have this to show. Basically, what I do is I create a outline, and the kids help me, of the things that we should talk with the parents about. Goals is at the top of the list. And then they have all this blank space on their outline to jot notes. And that's what they use on the Flipgrid when they create their conference, because if I just had them sit by their parents like middle schoolers and high school do, they would panic. So the Flipgrid is amazing because it breaks the ice. They hit play, the parents see, and everyone's all smiles because it's about your kid, and who wouldn't want to be all smiles with my kids? I mean, they're amazing. So we're still doing that with student-led. It looks a little different. I give the child control, and they actually show the Flipgrid on their iPad. So they are like the teacher. They're super happy. But yeah. So.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And it's just really cool to hear about how that's shifted for you over time, especially now as we're all pivoting to either remote or hybrid. If folks aren't face-to-face, that you still can leverage that in a creative way, but provide students that growth and ownership opportunity in the process.
Yes, absolutely. And they have artifacts that they've used throughout the year that they showcase those on the Flipgrid and pop those up. And the parents are like, oh my goodness, how are you doing this? I'm like, they're amazing. They'll teach us some things. So they have all those things they pop up to share at StudentLed conferences. So it's makes my heart happy. I'm a proud teacher. Every year we do this. So
I love that. And so to shift to Randall, are you ready for this? I have a trip down memory lane for you. Hopefully I can select the right tweet. I'm pretty sure I have it all queued up. And this one, you, my friend, shared this. This is from 2019. This Flipgrid AR QR code is on the outside of the football player's locker as an accountability reminder. Can you tell us about this and how even within sports programs, the way that educators and communities can leverage this and celebrate that process?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'm in Columbus, Ohio, home of champions. We tried hard this week, came up short against a great team down in Alabama. But we all know in Ohio, football rocks, football rules. And for some of the folks who don't understand, football was born in Ohio and in Massillon. And every baby born in Massillon General Hospital goes home with the football. That's how serious it is. So for the folks who don't think that we take this stuff seriously, it's how it is. And here in Ohio, in Columbus, every baby born during Michigan Week gets a blanket. And people are timing up when they have babies for just that week because they don't give out those blankets any other time. So you kind of, the lucky folks get those blankets. But so I came up with the idea, the concept with high school football in Ohio is big. And so Bishop Hartley High School, it's a perennial powerhouse of a championship team here in Central Ohio, 5 state champions. So one of the things that they do is they have a retreat where the kids work out together in the summer and then they talk about their goals. And I was the guest speaker. And in my guest speaking gig that I did with them, I said, well, one of the things I want you guys to do is here's the QR code for Flipgrid. Give me your goals for the season and how you're going to hold each other accountable and how your teammates will hold you accountable. And so the kids would get on there and they'd talk about what they wanted to do for the season. And then we take the QR codes and put them on the outside of the lockers where any kid can scan it and have that internal accountability with each other. But the best part about the whole thing is one of the kids, that tweet that you just saw, ended up going to row the boat in Minnesota. So he's a standout player from Minnesota football, young cornerback. And the best part about the whole thing, 2, 3, 4 years from now, when he's big time and getting ready to go to the NFL, that video from when he was in high school and the goals that he set will still be there. And I can bet you he will not change as a person, because that's why he went to Minnesota, because that culture that they have, that's the kind of kid that they want. And so it fits perfect. So if you are a high school football kid or a high school football coach and you want your kids to work on off-season goals, use Flipgrid, reflect on it in the summer to see from January until June, how far have you come as a kid, as a player? And then in June until August, how far have you come? So it is absolutely awesome. And the best part about this kid and his goal, he graduated. He was a academic All-Ohioan and athletic All-Ohioan. So that's a big deal. To be a dual All-Ohioan in Central Ohio, that's a big deal.
Wow. That gives me goosebumps for so many reasons, but I think too, I know Felina and I had some conversations leading up to this community conversation today, and that journey, the learning journey looks different for every student. And the community that they're working in, the dynamics of what learning looks like amidst a global pandemic. But the process. And so many of the things you've all spoken to come back to personal connection, come back to relationships, come back to helping students see the potential they have in themselves, the mindset that it takes to get there. I think this is a perfect way to sort of lead into this. Feli, if you want to roll with this conversation, let's talk about the last few things before we share some resources.
What is some final advice or encouragement for folks who are looking to try something new or update how they help students with goal setting and celebrating their learning journey? Whoever wants to go first.
I would say the best advice I could give is let kids have the control. Give them the power to make the choices, because if we give them that confidence, they will succeed every time. And I know some may feel weird about this because of letting go of that control is hard, but I think we've done a 360 with that. So I would say giving kids the ultimate control and then celebrating whatever, even the smallest step, celebrate that, because this is so personal for me. As Anne knows, like, my daughter has Down syndrome. So I've seen everything in my book about, oh, she has that, she can't. Oh, she can.
And she
can, and she does. So don't limit our kids. Give them as much of that power as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And the big thing is, as adults, our words matter. And sometimes you got to think about it from the kid's perspective. I mean, Charlie Brown was created for a reason when the mom, so the kids hear us like that sometimes in schools, right? So the words matter, but the big thing that we also have to make sure is with the words, we also have symbols that celebrate kids. So, one of the things I do is I have this championship belt. And so I take it into the schools and we, go into the schools and the kids see it and they all touch it and this, that, and the other. And we have goals set up that are visible. And we have banners set up that are visible. We have Flipgrid, QR codes set up that are visible. And we had one kiddo, a special ed kid. I looked at his data from his performance, and it was heads and shoulders above everybody else, the whole school. His growth was like 60 points, which is usually they're supposed to get between 3 and 4 or 5 points. It was like 60 points. It was totally crazy. And I asked the kid, I said, I want to see this kid. I don't know who the kid is. I want to see him. So I called the kid down to the office and said, what happened, man? And he said, well, you're the guy with the belt, right? I said, yeah. And he said, I saw you give the belt to somebody one day for their growth. And I just wanted to wear the belt myself. So do I get a chance to wear the belt? Oh, yeah. So absolutely. Absolutely. And because of that kid and a couple of other kids, the special ed department in our building got a B as in boy on the state test when they used to get straight Fs all the way across. And in Columbus City Schools, it is the highest performing special ed department for elementary schools in Columbus City Schools of 109 schools in the city. #1 for special ed and #1 for ESL. So it's these kinds of things that matter because the kids hear you, but then they can also see it as tangibles. And the kid was like, so are you going to take a picture with me in the belt or what? I said, absolutely, man. And do you want a pizza while we're at it?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Feli, I don't know about you, but I'm sitting here like feeling so inspired. And I want to ask you too, Feli, like what is some encouragement that you have to fellow educators? I know we have people listening in and the conversation in the chats. There it is. Tell us.
Well, I grew up in Mexico. I'm from Mexico, and this is well known in Mexico. It's called a matraca. So it makes noise. Okay. A lot of noise. So this was with me all the time in my backpack, in my classroom. So any little success, I was going crazy, and the kids were too. They loved it. They loved it because, like you said, Randall, they need to see it. They need to hear it. They need to see it, and they need to believe it. And we need to make it real for them. And a language is not. They can do it. A language is not going to be a no for our ESL kids. It's not. A lot of people say, well, it's an ELL student, and it's right, because we're thinking more data-wise, and it's not. We need to be informed about our students, but language is not going to be that no for our students. They can show us what they think in so many different ways, and then they will acquire the language. So for all of my life, I'm going to be celebrating their successes. And this is going to continue making the noise for my babies, my kids.
I love that. Thank you, Feli, for sharing that. Well, friends who are tuning in too, I have to say thank you so much to Randall and Melisa and Feli and the ideas shared. Before we go, we do want to share a few resources, things you can use immediately right away. And for those of you who are familiar with the Flipgrid Discovery Library, this is a database of resources, ready to use resources for you, fellow educators and partners around the world. Create topics and share topics, and you not only can view and use from the partners who are including incredible resources, but there's a general search feature as well. So if you wanted to, you could go into Discovery and grab a topic template from any educator or a partner, do a general search and use that right away. But we have 2 partner topics that we want to just sort of call out real quick. And Feli, I think the first one I'm going to have you share. And so I want to make sure that I get the right screen again. This is what I know everybody who doesn't have a second monitor, we're going through. Like, teachers make it happen. You use the tech in whatever way that you can. So I'm pulling the right topic, I think. This, friends, oops, hang on. Let's come in. Nope, I don't have the right one, but that's okay. I'm going to come in to Bunsies. Let me find them. Feli, here we go. Friends, come into the Bunsy partner page. And Feli, if you want to talk about some of these topics, I'm going to search for the specific one. Let us know what we can find real quick.
Like you said, one of our feature partners is Bunsy, and they offer ready-made topics that are like that, ready for you to use with your students. And it's an excellent way, an excellent topic to help your students keep organized in order for them to achieve their goals. So teachers, we invite you to go to our Discovery Library. Just look for Bunsy. They're already there. Click on it, magic, and you're done.
Yeah, and they have really great ones like track goals with a goal ladder. I mean, a ton of theirs are related to helping students get organized and be successful. So I love that. One other one, I'm just going to scroll back. Another partner that we have is Find Your Grind, and they have some really cool topics that have been shared. Let me locate them. Goodness gracious. Wow, my eyeballs are just kind of having a hard time right now.
It's up above equal justice. Go down. I mean, go up, sorry. There you go. See it? Nope, go down. Up. Keep going.
Oh my gosh, this is, I'm having,
It's right on the end.
Yeah, there it is. This is a good problem for me to have, but whoa, sorry, everybody. So I love this, that Find Your Grind is helping students explore who they want to be, how they want to live, how they want to work. So they have these really great topics, establishing new routines, grading what matters. I mean, different things. I have a plan, reflection, a different like self-reflection, experience. So I'm just going to click into one of these, and what they're talking about and sharing these really great resources. Friends, don't be afraid to click in and explore some of these topics. I mean, you can see by the titles alone, these are ready to use ways you can empower students to begin the conversation or to have the conversation or to dig in. This has all been rooted in, and Melisa, thanks for helping me find that tile, because I was like, where is it? Friends, student success and goal setting and our part of the journey, cheering them on, being a champion for them, providing pathways, celebrating the highs, the lows, the peaks, the valleys, the grows and the glows. And I think something we agree on is celebrating those epic wins too, right?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Well, Feli, on behalf of, I know you and I love to say on behalf of not only Team Flipgrid, but the fellow educator innovation leads on this team, we love being teachers, helping teachers, but Randall and Melisa, having you come on and share your expertise, your insight, your heart, your passion, directly related to the idea of student success and goal setting. Thank you so much for joining us for this community conversation. We love to say this is the loudest, raddest, most inspiring community on planet Earth. So friends, please feel free to get connected. If you're sharing on social, let us know at Flipgrid for All, because we want to celebrate you and support you along the journey as well. So on behalf of everybody out there, thanks for tuning in. And Randall and Melisa,
Thank you.
See you.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
everybody.
Our students.
All right, friends, we'll see you out there. And if you're looking for a little bit more, tune in January 21. We're having a really cool community celebration all about Flipgrid for All. So we'll see you soon. Take care, friends. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.